This time I'll call the May 2nd, 2022 County Council meeting to order. At this time I'll recognize our Vice Chairman, Robert Winkler from District 3, who will lead us in invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
If you would stand, please. Lord, we thank you for this day and thank you for the beautiful weather and the blessings you bring us every day. We ask you for wisdom this evening as we look at the issues before us, wisdom to make the right decisions, the right votes, to do what's best for the majority of the people. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will welcome everyone here tonight. It's good to have a good crowd and to hear the Pledge of Allegiance said in unison. I always enjoy that. We do have a skeleton crew tonight, some unexpected illness, and some folks that are out of town. But we appreciate you being here tonight. At this time, I'm going to recognize these folks who, if you will come forward for the oath of office. Paul Wise with Bethesda Fire Tax District Board and Tracy Plunkett, Council on Aging. If you are here and can come forward, our county attorney will meet you up front and he will swear you in. And as you make your way forward, we do as a council want to say thank you so much for your willingness to serve. It's done voluntarily. You don't get any pay. And most of the time you don't get any thanks, but we do appreciate it and we thank you for your service. Thank you, Ms. Plunkett. We are very blessed in York County to have not one, but 4 really stellar school districts in our community. And we are very blessed as well to have so many dedicated teachers who serve us. My daughter's been teaching for 2 years now, and I see firsthand that the job of teachers goes way beyond teaching. You're a counselor, you're a role model, you're a motivator, encourager, that keep adding to the list. But they have a huge impact on everyone's lives in our school district. And I know, speaking for the council up here, all of us have those teachers who have made a huge impact in our lives. We have some very special folks here tonight. The Teacher of the Year from each of our 4 school districts in our county. We are working on a proclamation that we will send you in the mail later. And in just a minute, what I'll ask you to do is, if you will, once we finish this next little piece of the presentation, if you'll come forward so that we can have a picture made with you all. And you're certainly welcome to speak if you want to. You don't have to, but we're going to have a video that Greg Suskin, I want to say thank you to him and to Josh Stender. They put this together real quickly, and we're excited to be able to share this.
It's an honor to be represented as one of the best in York. It's a true opportunity to be a voice for our school here at York Comprehensive High School. Probably the best thing about this job is that when you help a student conquer math, something that a lot of them think they can't do, and that I get the opportunity to do that for students at all levels.
Under, jump over. This is my 44th year teaching and coaching. We have so many great teachers here at Crowder's Creek. We have so many great teachers in the Clover School District, and it's an honor to have been selected. It's very rewarding. It's really rewarding, and I can see, the students here at the elementary level, and the improvement they make from day to day.
It was incredible when I heard that I was chosen as the District Teacher of the Year. but also I'm just very happy to represent our district, to represent all teachers, and be able to share my voice in things that I think are important in education. I believe that every student can learn if someone just kind of lights that excitement in them.
Reciprocal and simplify.
I think school should be a great experience for all students, and so I really want to make a difference in that way. I think learning and growing really makes us the best people we can be. It's a huge honor. It means to me that I am surrounded with a community of great educators, and it's hard to be the one that is recognized because I work with so many great, hardworking teachers.
Thank you again, Greg and Josh, for putting that together. Again, want to recognize Dr. Leslie Reel from York, Coach Carol Hester from Clover, Amy Medina from Rock Hill School District, and Laura Merck from Fort Mill School District. All these teachers were named Teachers of the Year from their respective districts. And Ms. Merck was actually one of the 5 finalists for the State Teacher of the Year. So we're very proud of you all. We're excited to have you here, and we would love for you to come forward. If you want to speak, you certainly can. I'm not asking you to do that if you don't feel comfortable, but we would like to have a picture of you if you could come stand in front of the council bench so that we can recognize you. Yeah. That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We just want to say thank you guys for being here and for celebrating teachers with us. Teachers all over the county, all over the state, we need the community support. So the fact that you guys are here and involved is important to us. So continue to support your teachers and continue to support York County education.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here. At this time, we move to the public forum session of our program. And what this means is that we have a healthy list. I think it's actually full tonight of individuals who'd like to speak. And this is an opportunity for you to speak to us. We don't engage. You have 2 minutes to speak your mind. If you would, when you please come forward to the podium, if you'll state your name, give your address. And then what you will notice is here on the screen, after 2 minutes, it will start blinking. And I hate being rude, but I have to do that. That's part of the job I have to do. So if you would please pay attention to that so I don't have to cut you off, I would very much appreciate it. And again, since we don't engage with you, we ask that you refrain from any personal comments or attacks to anyone individually and just state the issues that you're here for. First on the list, and I will go ahead and apologize. Sometimes I can't read and I mess up the names, but I'll do my best. First up, Gary Wickham.
Okay, Gary Wickham, 336 Wendell Drive, Fort Mill. I retired 13 years ago, and my wife and I came to Fort Mill with the express purpose of moving into the tower. Prior to my retirement, I spent 35 years managing and developing senior retirement and healthcare facilities. I have experience in feasibility studies, property and management, marketing, and successfully overseeing the projects we managed. I contracted with a denominational headquarters and developed and managed 12 facilities in 7 different states on selected church properties. I trust my background will give confidence in what I have to say, but more importantly, I hope you will further appreciate the professional preparations and the expertise found at Morningstar. That matchup will match up or exceed any reputable commercial developers you may already work with. The following is a quick list of 6 we haves, which should justify any reasonable requirements for approval by the churches of the church's project. We have church property on the campus ready for development right now. Number 2, we have a successful 6-year track record of development and management expertise in our independent adult senior housing units that is full and has a strong waiting list. Number 3, we have already in place a Morningstar operational teams for security, housekeeping, maintenance, yard care, accounting, HR department, sales counselor and administrator, and activities coordinator. An interesting aside, over 40% of the current residents are single women over 55 who moved to heritage communities because it was safe. We have walk-around security and quality, career-minded neighbors.
Thank you,
Number
Mr. Wickham.
4,
It goes by fast. I'm very sorry. I did give some extra seconds, but we have a full
Okay.
pack. If you would like to leave your comments to the side, and we'll make sure to circulate them to council. Yes, sir.
where, right here?
She's raising her hand.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Jess Eckberg. Hi.
Jess Eckberg, 375 Starlight Drive, Fort Mill. There are buildings in York County that are much older than Heritage Tower, yet the county doesn't publicly raise innuendo about the health, safety, and welfare of anybody else. That's because the staff is apparently obsessed with destroying the tower for anti-religious reasons. The innuendo is designed to try and drive people away from Morningstar, to frighten people from attending worship there, to cut down on ministry contributions, and to attack the credibility of Morningstar and its leaders and members when there is no evidence at all to support such innuendo. The people of York County deserve the truth from its government. York County citizens should not be subjected to lies put out in reckless press releases by county staff. Whoever is responsible for the false, reckless press release, including any members of the legal staff responsible for these lies, should be fired. And the county should apologize to Morningstar and other believers for the anti-religious verbal assault of its former chair and for the false comments now in this press release. You, ladies and gentlemen, are supposed to be our elected public servants. You're supposed to serve your constituents, not be at war with them. And you're especially not supposed to pick a fight with the church in an effort to harm the church's ability to carry out its God-ordained ministry purposes. The county attorney is not an elected official here. You are. To say you cannot discuss a matter on advice of counsel, and in some cases not even look in the eye when we speak, is an act of political cowardice. You ran for the job, and the buck stops with you, not with the county attorney. If you're inclined to pass ultimate decision-making over to the county attorney or any other unelected staff members, you should step aside immediately as a council member, hand the job to someone else who understands who is in charge, who is responsible to the people, and where the buck stops.
Thank you, Ms. Eckberg. Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, 375 Starlight Drive. I have to start out with a question. Do you govern according to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of South Carolina? That's everybody here. We are a constitutional republic. You're supposed to represent us and work for us. I know you campaign that you do work for us, all of you. Do you work for us? Regardless of whether constituents are a church or a big developer, you should work for all of us. It does seem like you favor big developers, D.R. Horton, and also the Panthers. I know you rushed to solve the Panther crisis, and that is good. But does the church get equal time and equal representation as the Panthers and D.R. Horton? This looks like religious discrimination and First Amendment rights violations. Favored treatment. I believe the Constitution calls for liberty and justice for all. when you go into executive session tonight, I do have a request for you, that you vote to drop the lawsuit and allow us to build a tower. And I have one more request, and I'll sit down. In fact, could you have a vote right now, here in public, and drop the lawsuit and allow us to build? What will this do? This will bring the county together. This will bring unity, koinonia, and allow us, all of us, to work together to help save our freedom and the way of life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Debbie Anthony.
Debbie Anthony, 117 David Court, Fort Mill, 29715. My favorite part of Fort Mill is Main Street. I was worried during COVID because it felt deserted, but it has come back. Main Street is busy with restaurants, shops, and sports bars, even a world-renowned hot sauce company. I want to thank you for approving the permits for those businesses to open or reopen, to build or to restore. I want to thank you for approving the permit to build the band shell right around the corner from Main Street in Fort Mill and Elisha Park. At Morningstar, restoration is what we do. We have completely restored a 500,000 square foot facility. We have 395 churches and ministries in 50 states and 193 countries. That is 99% of the world. Our media reaches millions of people through multiple platforms. So you folks are now world famous. Oh, happy day. In addition to our own local church, we are a conference center and a hotel. We have a K-12 school and accredited university. About 100 people live in our already 55-plus community. There's so much more, it's too much to mention. We want to restore the tower. Why would you say no to allowing us to move forward? You seem to be in favor of restoration. Jesus believed in restorations. Can you imagine what Mary Magdalene's life would have been like if Jesus did not believe that things and people could be restored? Maybe none of you have ever needed to be restored from anything. It seems you are holding our plans hostage because another ministry that occupied our building over 30 years ago cannot be forgotten. We wonder, is it religious discrimination? And I'm sure you know the old saying, if it walks like a duck.
Thank you, ma'am. David Herr.
David Herr, 638 Trent Home Trail, Fort Mill. Honored council members, thank you for your time and thank you for your service to York County. We appreciate you so very much. I am coming to speak on the tower. I have been a York County resident for 23 years. And in the interest of full disclosure, I need to tell you I am a Morningstar employee, but I come today with a unique perspective of having been a realtor in our county for 25 years. I have watched the immediate neighbor, Regent Park, which is the housing development right adjacent to the former PTL property. From 1998 to 2005, it was very difficult to sell in Regent Park. They had lower price per square foot and longer days on the market than surrounding communities, partly because they were adjacent to an abandoned property with vacant buildings. That's never good for real estate. When Morningstar bought that property and repurposed it in 2005, Regent Park watched their property values go through the roof. They now enjoy shorter days on the market and higher price per square footage than similar neighborhoods around them. So the development, Morningstar's development of its campus has been nothing but positive for everyone that lives within a 5-mile radius. I say all that to say this: the development of the tower will have the same positive effect on York County. Allow Morningstar to put $40 or $50 million in developing the tower, and you will and make it a thriving enterprise, and you will watch other deep-pocketed investors come to downtown Fort Mill and other areas and watch them bring their own renovations and gentrifications to those areas. To develop the tower will be nothing but good for York County. Please drop your lawsuit against Morningstar Fellowship Church. York County will thank you for it. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. William Nugent.
Question? Oh, excuse me.
I'm William Nugent, 375 Starlight Drive, Fort Mill, South Carolina. I've mentioned to this council that I was in the residential construction business for over 35 years, and I've done many renovations of dilapidated buildings. I've done renovations of burnt-out buildings and dealt with mold issues. I've also said that the tower on the Morningstar property is not dilapidated. It is not falling down. It's not structurally unsound. It's been valued at $15 million, and it's 50,000 tons of concrete and steel that's begging for renovation. It's absolutely a prime candidate for completion. We are not PTL. We are not doing a timeshare arrangement. I'm a senior citizen myself, and I own an apartment on the Morningstar campus, and I love it. I believe that the real reason for the lawsuit is that certain rich and powerful people in our county simply don't like to look at the tower. That's what it all boils down to. Certain rich people don't want to look at it. The lawsuit is to waste $15 million worth of church property for no reason at all. To waste that property is a sin against God. To waste that tower, the Catholics might call it a mortal sin. They might even call it a sacrilege. Either way, it's hell damning sin against God to destroy such church property. It's stealing from the poor to give to the rich, and it's an abomination. For the rich not to have to look at the tower, the lawsuit would waste that beautiful tower, and you would hurt the poor, you would hurt the people of York County and hurt people all over the world. So I urge you to reconsider your position and to drop the lawsuit.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
Thank you.
Tommy Adkins.
Yeah, I'm Tommy Atkins. I live at 7245 Park Place Road in York. The Panthers facility problem was and is a special interest tax, a giveaway that is not sound in economical growth. The county should not be involved in the rich man's welfare backroom deals for example, 30 or 40 years of tax resolution incentives for this deal. That is not good economic development. I have not seen anyone from the county give me a deal on my business, and I am sure many businesses could say the same. I stand for self-reliance and run our businesses the way we choose and not to eat out of the government hog trough. As long as you keep putting citizens' taxpayer dollars in this trough, the hogs will just get fatter and fatter. Special interest, economic development gets fatter as time goes by. The county is responsible for police, fire, emergency service, waste handling, schools, and roads. No more backroom deals, no more wasteful spending, no more taxing without truly representing. Give the citizens some relief and let the tax funding recreational bill expire without replacing it with another. Let the citizens of York County know that you hear them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Carolyn Adkins.
Carolyn Adkins, 7245 Park Place Road, York. I do not agree with the last closed-door deal offered to the Panthers. It was a bad economical development resolution to a bad situation. Development is not equal to growth. Backroom deals are never good for the citizens as a whole. They serve special interest development. I also feel that the tax funding recreation should expire. This tax does not represent all of the citizens of the county. The county already has passive funding for parks, boat landings, Brattonsville events, etc. If a county district feels it has a need for such a tax funding recreation, it can pass a resolution or tax for that district and those citizens, not the whole county, which would not receive the benefits of such a tax. To the citizens that say they cannot speak in public, you can write letters, email, or call your representatives. Let your representatives know you are watching and you care. To the county council, thank you for your service to the community. We the people will stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adkins. David Jones.
David Jones, 2570 Chester Highway here in York. The issue I had come before me April of 18th of this year at 8 o'clock in the morning. Had to attend the magistrate court on Heckle Boulevard in Rock Hill. What I observed once getting there was a handwritten sign on the window that said no cell phones and no watches in the building. Now, judging from the 30 or so potential jurors that walked to the door in the rain, it was pouring down rain from 7:45 to after 8 o'clock in the morning when everyone was requested to be at court. Apparently, nobody in the magistrate court system informed them in their jury notification that they were not allowed to bring cell phones or for some reason watches into that building, much less the courtroom. My issue is this, is the unequal dispensation of justice when the prosecution's office has access to something like this. It's much more in this day and age than a cell phone. This is a law library. If somebody is representing themselves pro se, in other words, representing themselves in a criminal offense, they're not entitled to bring the cell phone in the building, much less the courtroom, so that they can look up statutes and the actual verbiage of the law that's relevant to the case at hand. It's not only my opinion. 2019, the American Bar Association in their annual meeting at San Francisco had a resolution regarding the banning of cell phones in the courts of law around the country, not particularly this particular jurisdiction, but in the country as a whole. Basically, why? It gives an unfair advantage to the prosecution. The scales of justice are supposed to be not only blind, but they're supposed to be balanced. When a potential defendant or a witness, not only is this a law library, but this is evidence, video that I can cast on your 80-inch Samsung televisions that you got 3 of them in the courtroom over there, but I can also show pictures that are evidentiary. I can show evidence that would...
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Mary Williams.
Good evening. I'm Mary Williams. I live at 313 Squirrel Lane in Lake Wiley. All of you, the 4 of you that are here tonight, have seen my husband and I up here before when we have hot topics. My first topic, though, is if you look in your packet, there's an invitation for each of you and all the county council members to come to a fun day on the lake with underserved children from your districts. So I've got a list of the agencies there. If one of them is in your area, we'd love to have you come out on May 21st. But now the real reason I'm here tonight. I'm talking about the York County Recreation Tax. Now, this is a tax that shows up on my bill somewhere, actually 5 bills somewhere, because I've got a couple of cars and a boat, plus our home. And I don't know if it's the unincorporated tax, or is it part of the Lake Wiley Recreation Tax, the special tax that I stumped for and also voted for. And I'm looking at at the council members, and I'm looking 2006, 2007. Y'all didn't make this tax, I can see. The only ones I noticed that were on there were Perry Johnson and Tom Smith from my area. I have these wonderful tax documents due to, I want to give a shout out to lead clerk auditor. Her name is Tammy Green. She was so efficient and so polite today as I was trying to figure out how much money am I paying into this, what I'm going to call a duplicate tax. Because now that we have the special tax district in Lake Wiley, I'm paying taxes over there. We've got our own rec park. But there's also this unincorporated recreation tax that I'm paying, and I feel like that we're paying, especially in our district, double taxes. Oh gosh, I'm feeling nervous. Sorry about that. So anyways, vote for the sunset. I appreciate your time. I'm gonna go home and watch from home as you have your discussion later on.
Thank you, Ms.
It's nice
Williams.
seeing y'all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Chris Nasally, I'm sure I massacred that. I'm sorry.
Good evening, honored members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Nassoy, 226 Township Drive, Fort Mill, South Carolina. A little history, which you're all, I'm sure, well aware of. Why is the tower even there? 246 years ago, this July, our founding fathers came to this country in hopes of finding religious liberty. Some of them were driven here because they were under massive oppression. 24 years ago, to put it in the words of Abraham Lincoln, to use some verbiage from him, Heritage USA was founded here in York County. A little over 10 years later, the biggest debacle probably in this county's history happens. And some of you probably have family members who were affected by that. And we're not here to dismiss any of that, but 15 years later, Morning Star Ministry acquired the property in its absolute ruins and began its restoration. The rest of the property has been restored except for the tower because the ministry has honored the county's requests not to do anything with it. Going against what this tower stands for grates against our liberties as Americans. We have religious liberty that we want to, the tower needs to be restored, and we want to be able to exercise that as well as all of our constitutional rights. So when you look at this later on in your meeting, I ask you to consider the community that is being affected. That has already been brought up in this meeting, but consider what it would do for York County as a whole if this was approved, if the lawsuit was dropped. I'm asking you to consider, and will you do the right thing and drop it and
Thank you,
allow
sir.
freedom for the county and for the people of this county?
Thank you, sir. Billy Hagner.
My name's Billy Hagner. I live at 1901 Voyager Road in York. I'm here tonight to comment on the recreation tax that is imposed on all personal property to everyone that lives in unincorporated areas. So that's everybody that does not live in a city, in a municipality. This is a 1.5 mils tax in which the funds are transferred to the municipality. So they're taking money from the people outside the municipalities and giving it to the ones in the municipalities. These funds are used to help pay for the recreation in these areas. The transfer of these funds in turn gives money that we have no voice on. So it's really kind of taking money from us and giving it to other people to use, whereas if it was given in the county, we could come here and talk to y'all about the use of the money. Most taxpayers are probably not even aware of this because it's not shown on as a line item on your tax bill. It does come up under a combined line item of unincorporated area, but it's not called out specifically for that. Although this is not a large amount of money, we need to take every opportunity I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble reading my own writing here. But to make a long story short, in my opinion, rather than giving the money to the municipalities, we need to
Thank you, Mr.
drop
Hagner.
this tax and let them charge extra for the people that
Thank you.
use it.
Thank you, sir. Sharon Gideon?
Sharon Gideon, 1520 Autumnbrook Lane. My late husband and myself moved to South Carolina from New York City 11 years ago. The reason for moving here was that this is one of the few places that left that feels like real United States of America. Now, last couple of years that changed. Taxes in Rock Hill almost doubled in the last 2 years, and rumor has it that we're actually paying double taxes for grown men playing ball for entertainment all day long. Widows, disabled, single mothers paying double tax to pay through the way for grown men to play ball. Now, those grown men will turn around and brag about their immense salary and super profits that they make playing that ball, which God bless them, this is their money, but they should pay their way to build their facilities without using less privileged. And everybody in Rock Hill is paying for it, whether you rent or whether you own, you pay for it. I think this is outrageous. I think the county has to have transparency where the money is going, because rumor has it that Rock Hill didn't meet its expectations, financial expectations. And the meaning of it seems to me that we're going to pay more taxes and not know where it's going. And I think that has to stop, and we have to be more transparent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. William Madower Crute?
William Mattar Crute, 194 Lake Commons Drive. Integrity is the practice of being honest and showing consistent and uncompromising adherence to a strong moral and ethical principles and values. In response to COVID, your county government deemed that non-essential employees would be allowed to work from home. However, some departments were deemed essential, and those employees were expected to be at jobs each and every day. Solid waste collection and recycling, one such department. The collection centers are staffed by attendants that were part of the essential employee group, and they showed up every day they were scheduled to work. On July the 20th, 2020, York County Council voted to issue $1,000 to each county employee. The next day, I received an email from HR department stating that only full-time employees were receiving these bonuses. In response, I sent an email copy to county manager, public works director, asking why the attendants would not receive this bonus. To this date, there has been no response to the email. In the envelopes that will be given to county council, and county management tonight is a $50 bill. This is from the bonus I received as the attendance supervisor. I am returning it to those who made the decision not to give the bonus to the attendants, and to the council members who saw fit to support that decision by not sticking to what they'd already approved. I cannot in good conscience keep this money when the employees I was responsible for and who were more exposed to the virus than all other employees combined by a vast margin did not get one. At the start of this address, I read the meaning of integrity. I am not questioning the integrity of county management or county council in general, but based on the action of management and the lack of action of council in this matter, in my opinion, that question has already been answered.
Thank you, sir. Holly Simmon? Holly Simmon? Okay. We have one last person, Richard Roach.
Thank you, Councilman, for the job y'all do. Y'all do a great job for York County. My name is Richard Roach. I live at 4150 Mockingbird Lane. I'm a farmer and a landowner in the Bethesda community. I would like to talk to you about the Panther deal. I think that was a bad step in York County's decision to maybe go in with the city of Rock Hill to bail this thing out. I don't understand the part about Teffer owning the land and the city and the county don't have nothing to stand on. I think it's a bad idea, and if it comes back up again, I think the county should stay out of it. I'm on the board over at York Electric, and let me tell you what happened several years ago. They got in an endeavor with Santee Cooper to build 2 nuclear plants in Jenkinsville, South Carolina. Well, this went on, and the cost kept going up and got enormous. Well, Santee Cooper had to file bankruptcy. Well, it's going to cost the members of York Electric about $100 million is their share they're going to have to pay back for that kind of mistake. And that could be a mistake that the county makes if they go through with this Panther deal. So I'd advise y'all not to consider this again. It's probably, before it's over with, will break the city of Rock Hill. I would like to invite all the co-op members to come to the annual meeting Saturday and get their $20 credit and vote. Maybe it's time for some changes on the board. I don't know. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
job
Roach.
you do.
This concludes our public forum session. Do we have a motion on consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We move now to the public hearings. Item 1, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 22-05 376-000010 to rezone from ID to AGC, 7.96 acres in District 2. Ms. Dill.
Good evening, everybody. Just load it up. This request is to rezone one property from ID to AGC. It's located on Green Pond Road in Clover, just south of 55, or Ridge Road. The request here is to rezone to allow the property owner to convert an existing building to a residential use. As you can see the aerial, there's a very large vacant building, and he wants to be able to make that into a residential use. Staff recommends approval. Same thing for the Planning Commission by a vote to 8-0. The property is surrounded by AGC. The comprehensive plan for the area is rural residential. We do have the condition there that says if you do pass this rezoning, to either remove that building or apply to have that building permits necessary to make it to a resident within the 90 days.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this request? And if you would come forward, again, state your name and give your address. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against?
Move to close. Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
I'll make a motion to approve first reading with the condition of within 90 days of rezoning, the existing storage building must be removed, or the property owner must have filed for the building permit necessary to convert the building to a residence. If the property owner opts to convert the building, they must diligently pursue completion. Expiration of building permits necessary for conversion shall constitute a violation of this condition.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We move to number 2, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 22-06, tax map number 460-000004 to rezone from RUD to AGC, 80.5 acres in District 2. Ms. Dill.
Sure. This property is to rezone from RDD to AGC. It's on Kingsbury Road in Clover. It's an 80.5 acre parcel, as you can see from the aerial, a very large green, heavily wooded. There's a lake in the middle of the property. The purpose for the rezoning is the applicant would like to be able to construct 2 houses on that property, which you cannot do in RUD, but you can do in AGC. And so they're asking the request to go to AGC. Staff recommends approval. Same thing for the Planning Commission by a vote of 8-0.
Any questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Dill. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 3, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading 22-07-357, tax map number 35700000029, a portion to rezone from RUD to LI, 1.69 acres in District 3. Ms. Dill.
This is to rezone a property from RUD to LI. It's located on Meadow Road, just east of Highway 321 in the Clover area. Is to rezone a 1.69 portion of the property, and it's then to combine that portion with the property adjacent to it to make the business go a little bit larger. Needs more room, need to get it rezoned. As you can see on the aerial, there is an existing building on the adjacent property, and that already is zoned LI, so they're going to expand the area that's been highlighted in yellow or blue to the other property. And the purpose for that right now, the property is, I believe it's vacant. It's been a storage building over years, been a variety of different uses, but right now they wanted to put in a new plumbing business, wants to locate there. You can see here the 2 areas that are circled. The top part there, that's for the septic drain fields. And then the larger oval is actually for building a driveway to go behind the existing buildings. And so they're going to add that area there to the existing parcel. Staff recommends approval as well as Planning Commission. The comprehensive plan does not have LI for this area here, but we feel as though it's expanding a business to be able to utilize their better use of their property. So staff support that same thing for the council or Planning Commission. We do have the typical condition here saying that if you do approve this rezoning, is to submit your subdivision plat to recombine the properties within 90 days.
Thank you, Ms. Dill. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I
as
just
well?
have one question, Diane.
Sure.
So the, everything in red will be the same zoning?
Yes, ma'am. We'll stay RUD.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Dill. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? If you would come forward.
Good evening, Council, Chair Lady Cox, and fellow Council. My name is Dwayne Christopher, 2424 India Hook Road, Suite 220, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Might need to bend over here. And I'm the applicant for the owner. It is going to be for a plumbing business. You might recall 3 years ago, we rezoned the section because of the 2 warehouses were vacant, and that owner decided to move on. And option 1, Mr. Parham has decided to purchase the property, and he also purchased the larger property. The diagram there isn't quite exactly, it's a little bit more, it follows the shape of the creek. And as Ms. Dill explained, the 2 buildings are going to stay. We're going to renovate, have an office, and then some warehousing for the plumbing supplies. So instead of having the truck coming in like the previous owner, we're just going to have the driveway go to the back. It's just going to be a gravel drive. And to accommodate that, since the other zoning ended right there at the building, we're going to have the driveway go to the back, and then since the existing septic field is where the new driveway is going to be, we had to locate it further north. So it's primarily just a logistics thing, just so we could use the building, but you can't use the rest of the property. But both properties are owned by the same. Sorry we had to come in front of you on this
Thank you, Mr. Christopher.
Any questions? No?
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against?
Move to close.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve with the condition that the property must be subdivided so that no more than one zoning district is applied to a parcel. An approved subdivision plat encompassing the portion of the property zoned to LI shall be recorded with the York County Register of Deeds within 90 days of the rezoning approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We move to number 4, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading 22-08, tax map number 65500000011, 65500000057, 65500000083, zoning request to rezone from AGC and RMX 10 to RMX 6, 10.82 acres in District 1. Ms. Dill.
Thank you. This one, as you mentioned, AGC and RMX 10 to RMX 6. It's off of Colthorpe Road in the Fort Mill area. It's 10.82 acres. It's for 3 parcels. Currently, the 3 parcels, 2 of them actually have houses on them, and 1 of them is vacant. It's in a wedge between Colthorpe Road and I-77. Purpose here is to be able to develop a 48-unit townhome project with access onto Colthorpe Road and a stub out to some vacant land just south of that. This area here, it's near just south of Shutterfly. It is also near some other office uses. There's a hotel, a neighborhood across the road as well. There's still a few houses that are left over from Habersham. It was moved across the road. So there's a little bit of residential there as well. Mostly, though, it is more of a industrial commercial area here. As you can see from the zoning chart here, there's a very mixture of different kinds of zones for the area, but everything pretty much south of Colthorpe is either GC, LI, UD. There's still a few of those parcels there that for this rezoning here and 2 nearby it that are still RMX 20, or 10 actually, and probably they're underused. They might do something else, become something else, get redeveloped. The comprehensive plan, this area does show for I-77 corridor employment, which does not align with the request here. So staff is recommending denial, and same thing for the Planning Commission. Once again, everything from the Colthorpe Road to the I-77 is consider that I-77 commercial or corridor area there, that we see more of light industrial, commercial, and not so much residential. We're recommending denial.
Any questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Dill. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Hi guys, my name is Margaret Puckett at 1919 Manor Court in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Wait till my presentation gets up here. Thank you. Good evening, York County Council members, York County staff, and members of the public. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm joined here this evening by Ben Johnson with Robinson and Bradshaw. BGE is represented as well, our engineering consultant. MPV is a commercial brokerage firm here to speak on behalf of the Hinson and the Nevins family, who are their longtime property owners in York County. Additionally present tonight, we've got local surrounding residents here on behalf of TriPoints in support of the proposed project. And finally, I'm Margaret Puckett, Vice President of Land Acquisition for TriPoint Homes. TriPoint is a residential for-sale home builder, and we're proposing a townhome community in northern York County. I've snipped a few slides that show and depict the location, as Diane presented. I want to highlight the location. We began rezoning this request at the end of last year, and this property was actually located in Joel Hamilton's district. I don't think I'd be standing up here at this time if it was in Mr. Audette's district, understanding where he stands on townhome growth in the Fort Mill area. Through waiting through the new UDO approval, the council member districts were redrawn, and it is our understanding that come November, this area will fall into Tom Audette's district. I would like to kindly remind everyone up here on council that the location of our project hasn't changed. just the county member assignments. We're requesting to rezone this property from AGC to an RMX 10 to RMX 6, which allows for attached townhome housing. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble here with this. There we go. One thing I'd like to really point out, an inconsistency that I would like to respectfully bring to everyone's attention regarding the council this evening, is the staff's recommendation and planning board's 7-1 denial of our request on April 11th. The staff report assumes that the existing residential of any significance is north of Colthrop Road, and assumes that the houses south of Colthrop will all transition to office and institutional. Respectfully, I want to point out some significant residences that are located on the south side of Colthrop Road. 1918 Colthrop is a 4,300 square foot home owned by David Jennings, and 1926 Colthrop Road is a 2,700 square foot home owned by Catherine Jennings. These two home sites were originally located on the north side of Colthrop Road in what sits today and known as Habersham. The 125 acres that Four Star developed and sold single-family homes was the Jennings property. Their homes were physically removed off of the foundations and put onto the south side of Colthrop Road. This happened in 2017, and I just want to point out in my PowerPoint slide, Mr. Jennings' home in 2017 is on the left, or 2018, and today it's shown with much greener grass. You can obviously that they've put some time into improving their homes that were relocated from the south side to the north, or the north side to the south side of Colthrop. Same with Catherine Jennings' home. You can see she didn't have any sod, no landscaping. Really, the home was, again, uplifted off of a foundation and moved across the street. I want to point out that the York Comprehensive Long-Term Plan was approved in 2016, and it wouldn't have captured these significant residents on the south side of Colthrop Road because they were moved in 17 after Habersham was approved and began development. There's a significant backstory to the Jennings family who are present here this evening, and I will shortly say that if it wasn't for their family's land legacy in northern York County, neighborhoods like Habersham and the future development of Southbridge wouldn't exist. Even without the Jennings' significant residences on the south side of Colthrop, but especially if they are considered, our proposed project is a very good transition to locate between the existing institutional and light industrial use and the single-family detached housing on the south side to the north side of Colthrop Road. TriPoint has additionally received support from surrounding land use owners. Beginning at the PowerPoint slide, number 1 and 2 are the Jennings. Barbara Newton is also present here. She's highlighted number 3. PMC Properties is number 4. And Forest Hill Church, number 5, are all in support of seeing a residential use on this property due to just compatibility, adjacencies to the residential that exists in the neighborhood. Here's a letter from Forest Hill Church. They wrote this to us saying, we're in support of a residential development here. We would not like to see an institutional or light industrial use here. Our child care facility and our children's ministries back up to the back side of this property line. We'd like to see a residential use where we actually would propose or want to have connectivity, walkability to that church, which potentially would lead to access for residents of Habersham to be able to walk to Forest Hill Church through that area. Here's our site plan. We've taken into account the new UDO, which allows for or requires for much more open space, pocket parks, amenity spaces. All of that has been incorporated into our new plan. And again, that compatibility with the surrounding landowners, we feel as though our uses are better than what the long-term comprehensive plan is calling for. Now, at TriPoint, we're in the life-changing business. We're dedicated to designing homes, neighborhoods, and experiences that Inspire and uplift our customers, our team members, and in the communities that we serve. Life that inspires homes, homes that inspire life. It's our toughest mission and highest calling. We take this part really seriously. We have local design capabilities and we build a high quality product. Some of these images are homes, single family homes that we built across the country. The next slide is interior design. All of the new finishes, modern trends. We have a design center in South Charlotte off of Providence Road in Waverly where all of our homeowners have the ability to come and pick and choose their finishes inside their homes. And lastly, these are some elevations of existing product that will be very, very similar to what we're proposing on the south side of Colthrop Road. One thing I want to point out that we have a lot of control over, especially as I speak to this room, this slide shows houses built in this country by decade dating back to 1930. You look at our severe deficit of housing that we built since 2010, in the last decade, 2010 to 2019, we're severely undersupplied. And that is really causing a lot of the pricing surges that we're seeing today. There is just not enough housing stock, whether it be in Fort Mill, whether it be in Rock Hill, York County, there's not enough both townhomes and single family on the market today. A healthy equilibrium in a balanced market, your house should sit on the market for 6 months, and that's healthy. Your house probably wouldn't even sit on the market for 6 seconds today, given the conditions and where we are in the market cycle. Allowing builders to build both townhome and single family, providing buyers the option, is very important for a healthy market balance. Fort Mill housing update. As of Friday, when I was polling MLS, in all of Fort Mill, assigned to all 3 high schools in Fort Mill, there are only 20 houses that are new construction. 14 of them are townhomes with an average listing of 419. They're coming out of 2 active communities, both in the TGK area. Then there are only 6 active new listings in Fort Mill that average out to above $1 million. On the resale side, there's only 32 listings. The average townhome built in 2004 is $368. And on the resale side for single family, there's 27 listings, average price of $710,000, built in 1995. Our product in this location will be above the cost to serve. We will be in the mid 400s, serving a buyer that's gonna purchase a home that's 1,900 to 2,100 square feet. They're gonna consist of 3 bedrooms, which I know Fort Mill schools and the impacts that we're seeing. This buyer is likely going to be a young couple just getting started, may or may not have children, but the impact to the elementary school on Pleasant Knoll will be minimal, and there's currently room in that particular school. I want to take the time now to pass the presentation to Bailey Patrick Jr. with MPV. MPV is the brokerage firm that's listing the property. They've got the relationship with the Nevins and the Hawkins family, who are longtime owners in York County. I'm going to close with that. If you have any questions, please let me know.
We typically just listen during the public hearing. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Bailey Patrick, and I'm with MPV Properties. Our firm specializes in land brokerage, and we also have a commercial development arm that's built retail, office, industrial projects over the years. I've personally been trying to help the Nivens family sell this property since 2017, which is when they made the collective family's decision to sell the property. At that time, we marketed the property for several months before signing an agreement with Terwilliger Pappas. They had a mixed-use project planned, and they're a very reputable developer. They built the Barrowick Town Center in Steel Creek, Southwest Charlotte. Ultimately, that project died because of the impact fees that were passed in 2018, and they were also unsure about the zoning, whether the property would be rezoned for mixed-use development. So we went back to the drawing board at that point with the understanding that York County really wanted employment uses for that property. And we tried to make that work, but the vast majority of interest came from residential builders and apartment developers. So after 4 or 5 years of trying, we ultimately decided to sign a contract with Tri Point Homes, and we knew we'd have to go through this process to get the property rezoned. We felt like they were the best fit. Margaret obviously lives in Fort Mill, and we thought they'd be good stewards of this family property. And just speaking to the specifics of the property and why I don't think commercial developers and businesses have been interested. First is the lack of frontage on Colthorpe Road. I don't know if we can pull up a slide just showing the property, but you'll see that there's maybe 100 feet of frontage. There's hardly enough room for a residential street to go through there. And business owners, commercial developers, they want frontage, they want signage potential, they want easy in and out for their employees. You can see it's hardly any frontage. So I think that's one reason why they weren't interested in the property. The second is, even if it was located, with a lot of frontage at an intersection, the actual road, Colthorpe Road, is not built to handle truck traffic, heavy, car traffic. So even if this was, a site that had more frontage, I think it's so obvious that it's, a residential feeling area that, the infrastructure is just not there to support that kind of use. And just to give you one example, supporting this, our company developed the roads and infrastructure at Lakemont Business Park, which is in northern York County, just south of Carowinds. And we started running out of land in that business park, selling it to different developers and end users. And I would go to them and say, we've got this property down on Colthorpe, I know we're running out of land here. And they would drive by it, and we didn't receive one offer from any of those prospects that we tried to turn to the Nivens family property. I think they probably saw the writing on the wall that, the Habersham neighborhood and other surrounding neighbors would come out in full force against the traffic, the noise, the, out-of-place architecture associated with those type of commercial projects. In summary, I'd just like to say that the market has clearly told me over the past 5 years that residential is the most desired use for this property. It's the least disruptive to the neighbors from a traffic perspective, and I feel like it just fits in better with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Hawkins. My family owns the parcel of land at 1876 Colthorpe Road. We've been part of the Fort Mill Township for over 4 generations. The land was purchased by my grandfather in the late 1940s, and he eventually built his house that is still there in the mid-1950s. We've seen substantial growth, obviously, over the last 20 years in Fort Mill, and when we decided to put the land on the market, we really wanted something built there that would have the least amount of impact on the surrounding neighbors, but would also be something that would benefit the citizens of Fort Mill as well. We definitely believe that Tri Point will offer both of these things, and so we hope that the rezoning will be approved so that Tri Point and my family can move forward with this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Please come forward. Just keep coming.
My name's David Jennings, and I live at 1918 Colthorpe Road in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And lived there almost all my life. But my property directly contacts the Nivens property on the south and the east sides of my lot, which is Lot 2. And I've met with Margaret Puckett and Luke Woodburn from Tri Point Homes and somebody from BGE Engineering 2 or 3 times. I find them to be very reasonable, and they seem to be the kind of people that I feel good about trusting. And they've proposed a very nice project with quality homes that will complement the residential flavor of the neighborhood. And that neighborhood consists across the street of Habersham subdivision, and my sister's house, and my house, and Ms. Newton's house, and the next beside her that doesn't even have a number is the dentist office. And then number 4 is the hotel property, and 5 is Forest Hills Church. But if you look at that property, the 10 acres in this deal,
there's nothing on the north side except me and my sister's houses. There's nothing on the east side except Ms. Newton's and the dentist office. There's nothing on the south side except that piece of property coming from the hotel up there and then Forest Hill Church. You got one commercial building on the east side of that property. So you draw a line, that pretty much looks to me like it ought to be residential. You know, to reject this just to try to go with light industrial or something just does not seem to fit with the layout of the area. And I fully support Tri-Point Homes project. They've redone it and cut down on the number of homes. They're nicer homes and got nice buffer zones that was required by planning for tree areas. But, you know, I've heard, I don't support it being light industrial. And, you know, I've been in this county all my life in the fire service, and, you know, I'm the chief of Flint Hill Fire District, so that's the whole northern side of Fort Mill, that point that goes up to Charlotte. And we're 15.4 square miles in that fire district, which is properties in that fire district. The county as a whole has 696. So we're 2.2% of the square miles in the county. Population-wise, 8.9% of the York County population lives in those 15.4 square miles. But tax value-wise, that tax value from that 15.4 miles represents 21.35% of all the total unincorporated tax base in York County. And that's from fiscal year 21, the last one we have verified numbers on. But it doesn't sound like that area is hurting for any type of commercial property. And I mean, it's like a bonanza gold mine for the school district and people like us that have a tax district. I mean, the commercial value of that property is unreal. But to try to squeeze in, when you got commercial on one side of the four sides, and try to squeeze something in there that's surrounded by residential type buildings, that, you know, I just don't, this sounds more like a favor or something, or somebody made a recommendation and nobody had any other facts to oppose it. But this is not a good fit, and I really ask the council to rethink the planning commission's recommendation and
Thank you, Mr.
make
Jim.
this residential.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Catherine Jennings. I live at 1926 Colthorpe Road, Fort Mill. I support the Tri-Point Homes proposal for the Nivens property. I don't support light industrial because it's just not a good fit. My family has lived on Colthorpe Road since my grandparents purchased a large farm in December of 1944. And I live on a part of their original acreage. My parcel fronts the Nivens property, which sits between me and the Forest Hill Church. And I would like you to really consider that this should stay residential and not go commercial, because there's no access for any commercial to Colthorpe Road that would support it. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Good evening. I'll be quick. I'm Ben Johnson. I represent Tri-Point Homes. Thank you for your time tonight and for hearing us.
Yes, sir.
We weren't able to give input to the Planning Commission, so it's important that we have this chance to do it tonight. And thank you for, I know you're busy, and thank you for your time. Rezoning is a legislative function. It's quintessent. It's just, you have discretion. No single factor is going to control your decision. The quintessential factor is compatibility with adjoining uses, and is it reasonable? And you've heard tonight that a transition here involving townhomes to these single-family residences of the Jennings and others, as well as protecting the church, which has a playground behind it, would be completely compatible with the existing uses. As Mr. Patrick said, if you look between parcels 3 and 2, there's this tiny bit of frontage, and that's going to be the road access for the townhome community. But if you thought about commercial, which depends on significant frontage, it's just not there, and that's why, as good as the Patricks are, it hasn't been sold in 5 years. If you couldn't do commercial there, then we would need to look at industrial or some other heavier use, which, and you've heard the neighbors tonight, they don't want that. They want a thoughtful community like Tri-Point is offering, which will serve as a nice transition to the single family, both on the south side of Colthorpe and on the north side of Colthorpe. I have the greatest respect for the staff, but I think the report overlooked the significant residences on the south side of Colthorpe that are very much affected by this. And I think Chief Jennings said it best that it's preferable that we have this townhome project to transition to him. And having a hard stop of industrial right up against a single-family house of the kind we're talking about, or really any, it's just not a compatible use. And then the Forest Hill Church has its playground behind there. They could not be here tonight, but you have their letter. They very much support the Tri-Point project. Utilities and traffic are non-issues. I don't ever mean to say that traffic is a non-issue in Fort Mill, but this is not a significant project. It's a small scale, and the traffic studies support, as well as I think DOT supports the project here from a traffic standpoint without requiring improvements. As Ms. Puckett said, the project serves an important function of affording additional housing. We don't have houses. People are bidding up the market. We have employers coming here whose workers can't find homes that they can afford, can't find homes, period. And it's important that we think about that. I realize that Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Ardette are not here tonight. I've not spoken with them directly, but I know that my client has. I think it would be important for them to hear and to know of the support that's expressed here tonight by the immediate neighbors who would be affected by this project. I think there's this, and I know I've been here plenty of times, and you're used to neighbors coming out saying, no, don't do this. And I think if they heard what we heard tonight of significant support for this project by the people immediately affected, it would make a difference to them in the way they think. And I don't want to speak for them in terms of how they might think about the project. And I don't mean to leave out Mr. Guffey either. And so I would suggest and respectfully request that this council give first reading to this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against? You'll please come forward, state your name, and give your address.
My name's Robin Peterson. I'm at 5556 Alexandrite Way, and I have a second property at 730 Shellstone Place in Fort Mill. I am the immediate neighbor, and I actually did not plan to speak on this issue, but I feel very strongly about the overbuilding in Fort Mill. I know I'm over in the Waterstone area, and my sons have previously attended the schools that are right around that area, which are Pleasant Knoll Middle School and Pleasant Knoll Elementary, that would be servicing, I presume, that area. Colthorpe actually is a very industrial-looking road. It cuts through, I have 5 children. It's a sneaky cut-through road that people use when everything gets clogged up because all of the roads have become very heavy. The new diverging diamond has somewhat got things going on Gold Hill Road, but for that, we really don't need more apartments. That inflames everybody. It's a big discussion in Fort Mill. So I am the neighbor. Also, I do realize that it seems Our Fort Mill School District is always talking about needing more money because everything, all of the new growth and the impact fees. So they have a conduit municipal bond issuer. They have bonds that we voted on. They have these impact fees. They have who knows what other money sources, and they still need more money. So I'm not really sure why we need more apartments that are going to bring new families in. And I heard the argument that we don't, that this is going to probably be a young family, but my experience is I own a condo, and I own a larger home, is that we really don't know who is going to rent that home. And because, yes, we have a lovely community that's very popular in Tega Cay and Fort Mill, we don't know. We're seeing young, larger, 3 children home, people moving into 3-bedroom condos right now with their families. And yes, there is a shortage of homes. I see that. But now when I look at the other issue, Morningstar Tower, which has 55 plus homes, in Fort Mill, I think we need more homes built like that. That already exists for seniors to come and join maybe their kids and grandchildren here in a safe environment. That makes a lot more sense to me, and it makes no impact on the school system. And, they do drive, but it makes a little bit less impact on the commute during the day, on the evening and morning commute, and the school time commute as well. And so I am just a hard pass on this. I do believe that it's a little deceptive that this isn't an industrial place. Yes, I think an industrial or something could go there, and this is a very industrial-looking road to me. So as a citizen that lives there, I just say I think that the Planning Commission made a very good decision, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak against?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve first reading, as Mr. Johnson used to love to hear us say, for sake of discussion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, I want to, since the council member who was elected to represent this area is not here tonight, and the one who we redistrict into the area is not here tonight either, I think it makes more sense to pass this on a first reading and let them talk with the citizens and let them come back. They're the ones that represent these people. And let's vote next reading when we have a full staff up here instead of just us. So.
Any other discussion?
I was just going to say, I heard some very interesting details about this particular project. What stood out to me most is that what our comp plan said this property was supposed to be, or what staff has looked for this to happen in this area. We don't always get it right. I heard the gentleman say this property went up for sale back in 2017 maybe. Staff thinking this is going to be commercial, industrial. Typically, property wouldn't sit that long if it was intended to be commercial. And the only interest to come from it being residential, and looking across the street on this diagram here, you see that it's not far-fetched to say residential would fit here. With the 3 connecting properties with homes on them, across the street with homes on them, I honestly think we would be doing a disservice to those neighbors, the church, if we tried to force industrial into this particular property. Like the realtor said, there's no road frontage. If I owned a business or I was wanting to locate, I want to be visible from the street. And if manufacturing went there, they're going to have to ship something out, and it's going to really be more where there are trucks on the road, more traffic from employees coming to and from. It may be a third shift operation that's running first, second, and third shift, and I think that would really disrupt, what's I seem to be the character with a church there and residential homes immediately to the right, to the left, and across the street. The comp plan is not something etched in stone. It can be changed. It's very liquid. And our staff did spend a lot of time trying to get it right, but it's just a document on paper that's being used as a tool to guide some of our decision-making down the road and in the immediate future. But we don't have to always say, just because the comp plan doesn't specify this area to become residential, it can become residential. We can hope for it to be something industrial. But I honestly, just looking at what we have in front of us, I think townhomes would be a good fit. You know, obviously, if it was single-family homes, it'd probably be less, but 48 townhomes is not a huge impact project. It's, to me, relatively small in scale, but, and just hearing what's on the market in Fort Mill. You know, our staff doesn't go out and do market analysis of, or cost analysis of what a property should go for or what it should actually be, but you know, they've done their best to make an educated guess as what they saw coming to the area. And we've seen several projects and rezonings come before us that went against the comp plan. Obviously, our planning commission does a good job of trying to vet certain interests for area. They don't always get it right. We don't always get it right. So I'm glad there's a process that allows us to have the ultimate say, because we're the elected officials who ultimately make the decision, who are ultimately going to be responsible for it. So just looking here and the wishes of the current council members district, who I think should be here, he's reached out to us and said he supported it. And obviously we're hearing that this particular property is going to be in another council member's district. I would hate for anyone to start a project talking to a council member, get that initial support, there's a gnat flying around, get that initial support and move forward with designs and coming up with concepts, and then all of a sudden it's going to a different council member's district, and they've wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of time and resources, only to find out that maybe that incoming council member's district may not support it. You know, I think that wouldn't be fair to the petitioner. I don't think it'll be right to switch the goalposts in the middle of the kick, so to speak. So I'm glad to hear that the current council member does support it. He wanted to be here. And I think he should hear the same support. So hopefully you guys and young ladies will have the opportunity to come back or reach out to both Joel and Tom to express your interest. We get tons of emails, we get tons of phone calls, so I would encourage you to continue those phone calls, continue those emails, and show those support. And if at the second reading, by all means, come back and show your support for this project, because we do so many times when people are trying to do residential, we hear about whether it's traffic or whatever. We very rarely hear people come out and support residential projects. And I'm glad to see the support was there. The research has been done by the petitioner, the builder. Just good to see everyone coming out because this is your community, you're the neighbors, and we want to make sure that we're getting it right by what you guys feel is a good fit, not just what our staff or some consultant has put on paper to say it was a good fit. So I appreciate everyone coming out.
In my district, the biggest fear is that longtime property owners will sell their property for townhomes or apartments or a lot of homes in a high dense neighborhood. I mean, in this case, when you look at this, you'll see that all of the homes shown above, all those little red arrows, are going to fit that many people. That same number of people are going to fit into 10.82 acres. That's high density. Maybe Fort Mill is beyond saving anything. And I don't know that this has to be industrial. I think it could be single family. The people that are living there are probably very excited that they have the property that they have. I do agree that the council members who represent Fort Mill should be the ones to weigh in on this. So I'm in favor tonight of getting this to second reading.
And I will also echo that I think out of respect for the council members who represent the area and who aren't here, that we need to allow this to move forward so that we can hear from them and let them be involved in the discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Rezoning action, hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 22-09, tax map number 72100000003, zoning to rezone from UD to LI 2 acres in District 7. Ms. Dill.
Thank you. As you said, this is to rezone from UD to LI. It's on Terry Road in Fort Mill. It's a 2-acre parcel. It's just on the west side of 21. It's sort of tucked behind Ross. As you can see, it's a heavily wooded piece of property at the end of a small road, Terry Road. The reason for the rezoning, this is kind of unusual, is that they can do this use in UD, the same use in LI. The reason for the rezoning is because RECODE has made some changes to our requirements for design standards, and it would capture design standards if it's a warehouse in UD, but not if it's a warehouse in LI. So the option here is to go ahead and rezone the property over to LI to not have to do those design standard requirements for the warehouse. Had they been on an arterial, it still would have been required no matter what. Because it's sort of tucked away, it's not on a main road, staff was supportive of that rezoning to LI. And it also achieves one of your objectives to be able to reduce some of the UD properties. And fortunately for the applicant, it was free of charge. See, as they're going to be building a 5,400 square foot warehouse. It's just a very small building to be able to store their Christmas decorations. Staff recommends approval, so does Planning Commission by 8-0 vote. The property around there is all UD. It's pretty much all industrial, so this fits with the actual use. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Dill. Any questions of staff? Thank you. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against?
Move close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to hold a public hearing and provide third reading of an ordinance authorizing the sale of 5 plus or minus acres of land located on McFarland Road, York, currently identified as a portion of tax map number 40100000002, to entertain an offer to purchase the parcel, to authorize the chairman to execute the contract of sale and deed, to provide for public hearing, and to provide for other matters relating thereto. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve third reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We do not have any old business. We move now to new business. Item number 1, council to consider approving first reading by title only of an ordinance to amend the code of the County of York, South Carolina, Chapter 51.05, Water and Sewer Rates and Charges, Terms and Conditions of Service, Sections B2 and B10, in order to amend the water rate schedule and sewer rate schedule and to provide for matters related thereto.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Roddy?
Is any of this taken into account, or because of the new rates coming out from Rock Hill?
I think that's a good question. Mr. Madden, can you explain why we're having to do this?
We are passing along only the rate increases from the city of Rock Hill.
Thank you.
And the rate increases at this point are, what are the rate increases, and can you give us some information about that?
I believe off the top of my head, I think the water is 11%, sewer is 3%. And again, so we're not passing along those entire increases to your bill, only the portion of the wholesale water that we're buying from Rock Hill, that increases what we're passing along.
So if I understand correctly, we're not passing along the entire increase, so the county's gonna absorb some of those?
No, the bill that our customers receive, we have the wholesale cost of the water, and then all the other expenses, water and sewer fund is paid for out of that bill. The portion that, if we're buying water from $1 from Rock Hill, now it's $1.11, we're passing along that 11%.
Gotcha.
Nothing more.
So 11% increase in 1 year. Can you tell us what the increase has been over the past 7 years?
Past 7 years, I believe it's basically doubled. I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. There have been substantial increases over the last 7 years in water and sewer, very substantial.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to consider adopting a resolution directing the York County Planning Commission to conduct the studies related to the imposition of a development impact fee applicable within the geographic area of the York School District 1 and associated with the public education facilities for grades K through 12 considered necessary for the proper education of the school district's children, and recommend a resulting impact fee ordinance related thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll just mention that I believe management or legal is in the process of finding us another expert to help us and help planning commission through the review of this.
That is correct.
Any other comments, any other discussion? Just for folks who don't understand this is the process where there's been a request from York School District to request an impact fee, and so this will now move to the Planning Commission for them to study this, and they will be provided an expert in order to help them do the analysis that they need to do. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to consider approving a resolution supporting the county's evaluation of concurrency within York County so that school district educational facilities can adequately accommodate growth resulting from development within the county at a managed pace, and so that the York County Planning Commission and County Council can benefit from an additional evaluative tool for matters coming before each body, directing York County management and/or the Office of the County Attorney to retain consultant legal representation in furtherance of this objective, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Roddy?
I'll just say that I still have a lot of questions about this one, but it's very interesting to me. I'm always interested in trying to find any tools we can to try to help the school districts to pay for the growth and to manage the growth however we can. And I had not heard of this until Councilmember Love, I believe, found it and brought the idea up. And so I look forward to learning more about it. I've got concerns about it as far as it only covering the unincorporated areas and the municipalities not having a concurrency type plan, but I'm always open to trying to learn more and see how we can improve things. So.
If I'm correct, I think my understanding of this is if we're getting projects, mainly residential projects that's going to locate in an unincorporated area, we want the school district to weigh in to see if they can handle the students, handle the extra capacity. Okay, so yeah.
Any other discussion? Certainly don't have any trouble taking a look at and exploring all options, and as long as we've got legal and someone to help us along that process. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to consider first reading by title only of an ordinance to establish operating and capital budgets for the operation of the county government of York County for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2022, to provide for the levy of taxes for York County for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022, to provide for the expenditure of tax revenues and other county funds, and provide for other fiscal matters relating to county government.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Winkler?
Just quickly, I just want to say, in case any of you are wondering, this is what we're voting on tonight on the first reading. So those of you that are sitting out there that are looking to replace me in a few months, look forward to some reading. There's a lot in there, but it's very important that we understand it and go through it. And I thank your staff for putting all this together for us to have all the details on it. And I look forward to workshops coming up to make sure we understand it all.
Mr. Roddy?
I just want to say, as usual, another exciting budget season coming up. It's always interesting to see as we thumb through that York County budget, some of the things that different departments have asked for, some of the things that we're going to move forward with, some of the things that we're not going to move forward with. But one thing that I always ask staff at the beginning of this budget process is let's make sure we take care of the face of York County. That's the people that's going, the boots on the ground, that works in these offices, that works the front line, that works in public works, our landfills, all of our departments, because they're the face of York County. So when something goes wrong on the front lines, obviously we'll deal with it as council and management staff, but our guys and girls do such a tremendous job of being the face of all the great staff and things that are put together for this council, things that are put together for the community. But we have to make sure with the rise in cost of living and things that's going on, I always make sure that we are definitely looking to retain some of our most well-seasoned employees, because when I first got on council, we haven't given out any raises in several years, and we saw people leaving York County, going to work in the private sector, and we've changed that mentality over the years. We're no longer a training ground for the private sector. We've started to really do a great job of taking care of our staff And we have some long timers who've been with this county and have made a commitment and a lifelong commitment. I've seen people start out at York County, and when they come here and stand before us in their retirement speech, some of them has indicated that they didn't think they would be here 30, 40 years. But I think we've changed that mentality and gotten back to people wanting to invest their talents into county government. And I think that's because we have a good work environment, and we do a really good job of taking care of the needs of our employees who take care of the needs of this community. And my hat goes off to staff for putting this budget together. It's always interesting to see what we flush out and what we accept, but I look forward to another good budget season where we're always putting the needs of our community first before we decide to make a decision on that budget.
Thank you. Another discussion? I do want to echo the fact that we appreciate the management for putting together a budget. We know that you all work hard to look out for the taxpayer interest, and that's something we have a lot of confidence in, and we appreciate the work that you do. I would ask, we've got the book, and we just got it Friday, that this be made available publicly so that everyone in here can go and enjoy all of the reading and see what their public budget looks like. And if you have any questions, come out. We've got workshops, and we've got a public hearing. We would love to see you there. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to consider approving first reading by title only of an ordinance to abolish the special tax district known as the York County Recreation Tax District in York County, effective as of December 31st, 2022, as described more particularly herein, to specify the time and application of the final levy of taxes for the operation and maintenance of the York County Recreation Tax District, to provide for the winding down and cessation of operations of the York County Recreation Tax District as an administrative division of the county, to provide for a public hearing, and to provide for other matters related thereto. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Winkler.
I'm the only one on this end, so I guess it's easier to start down on this end every time. This is something that I've struggled with. I do believe that this ordinance in its current form has outlived its usefulness and its life. It was started before any of us sitting up here were on council. And they were, the idea was back then the municipalities were charging children who wanted to play, baseball, soccer, football, whatever, in their rec league more money if they lived in the county than if they lived in the city. And so the county started this, and the agreement back then, and I've spoken with past council member Williams, who was up here when they did it. I think he was the only one around that I've known that I talked to about it, but that was the original intent of it, and it has changed over the years. There's not as many people playing that ball now. There are a lot more people play travel ball, but there are still a lot of children who play it, and so in its current form, I think it's outlived what it was intended for. My concern is for the municipalities in District 3 that are small municipalities, and this is a large portion of their money that they do get from this. And to end it cold turkey, which we're not quite cold turkey, we're looking at, we're giving them a notice that it's ending, but it will cause, I believe, some consequences. I just want to make sure we understand what all those consequences are, because there will be probably higher fees for our families that live outside the cities to play ball in the city rec leagues and stuff, because they don't pay taxes in the city, so the cities will charge them more. That's more of a thing where if you use it, you pay for it. So that may be the best way to go. But I look forward to us all hashing this out and figuring out what the best option is for it. I just always have concern for our smaller municipalities, especially in District 3, where this is a large portion of their money for their rec ball and stuff. And our citizens in District 3 who can't afford some of those homes we've been talking about tonight that are $400,000 and $500,000 and $600,000 homes, and they can't afford to pay for travel ball, which is very expensive. So I'm worried about those and look forward to hashing this out.
Any other discussion?
Let's go down the line. Since we have so few council members here, I get to take a little extra time to plead my case. Well, I just want to let the public know we had some extensive conversation about what to do with this, basically a tax on the unincorporated areas. And trust me, we had some real healthy conversations, some back and forth. And one thing I like about being on this council is that we don't always agree. We got 7 different personalities up here. We all have York County's best interests at heart, but we had some real good dialogue as to how to handle this. Some people wanted to cut it off right away, and some wanted to delay it another year. And so ultimately, we came up with the decision to let everything go through this fiscal year, because we know municipalities have already kind of started to work on their budgets as well. And based off what we've given them in the previous years, how do we come up with a way to make it fair to them, as well as doing what we feel is the right thing to do, by not taking monies out of the unincorporated areas and just turning it over to the municipalities. We heard several speakers come up this evening to talk about, doing away with the rec fund, and it has served its purpose, but things are changing. The need has changed. The use for this money has changed, and we're trying to at least keep up with the times and balance things out, because it is your tax dollars. And I got the comment that Mr. Billy Hagner made. We have no say once we turn this money over, but the intended use of it was to offset the cost of unincorporated citizens participating in municipalities' sports and rec leagues. And we all know with the evolution of more travel ball, city participation seems to have gone down somewhat, because more people are playing the travel ball, because let's face it, they want to get out and explore and take the kids all around the country playing ball on Saturdays and Sundays and the weekends, and not so much during the school week. But the rec leagues in some of the municipalities are still healthy, but we just didn't feel like it was as healthy coming from the unincorporated areas. We didn't feel like it was still a good fit to fund the municipalities when they so heavily it's not going to offset the cost of unincorporated citizens participating, but more of a budgetary situation where they're using the money not so much to offset the cost. So we had some healthy conversations, and I'm sure we will probably look to institute something to assist our county residents while they participate in municipality recreation leagues. But at this time, I agree with having a sunset date on this unincorporated area tax, and hopefully we'll continue to have that healthy discussion as to how do we soften the blow to the additional fees if the municipalities decide to go back to charging county residents more to participate in their leagues. And so we'll deal with it based on what they decide to do. Hopefully they can keep the fees still manageable for unincorporated citizens to participate. And if they don't, I'm sure this body, if I'm sitting up here, we'll have that healthy discussion as to how do we continue to offset some of those fees. We just don't want to leave our county residents paying a substantial amount more, but we'll deal with it if we have to. But at this time, I do support not taxing our county residents to turn that money over to our municipalities.
It's interesting how 1.5 mils can look like a lot, or it can look like a little bit, depending on where you are on something. I've always said you can make a case for or against something. So in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, this is a tax cut for every single person in the unincorporated areas of York County. And I want to tell you how it got on my radar. In 2016, the same election that put me in this seat also approved and passed in the Lake Wiley area a tax district for the Field Day Park. It's a rec tax, Lake Wiley rec tax. So when I started looking at that in 2017, when I got on this council, which is the first time that I actually brought this up and met with my own local municipality, the town of Clover, to say, hey, y'all are getting some money, and wasn't quite sure where that money was coming from, but y'all are getting some money, and how about sharing that with us, because now we've got an entity and we're trying to provide recreation. And believe it or not, there are constituents of mine in the Lake Wiley area that live in trailers without windows and doors. So this began as a way to help people that live in those conditions so that their children could participate in sports. So I'm very cognizant of that, and the fact that there are also those people in the Lake Wiley area who we don't recoup any money from this, but we put over a third of the money into this. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, I waited. 2021, I had county management bring this up to the Rec Coalition and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to give Lake Wiley a piece of the pie? Because we qualify for a recreation provider, just like the municipalities now. And the answer to that was no, we're not gonna give up, we don't really wanna give up our money. And my point is, it's not your money, it's mostly our money. And if you don't wanna play fair and level the playing fields, then I'm gonna pursue this again next year, which they were warned of that also. So this is next year. So they've had, for those council members who want to, do this a little bit at a time, piece by piece, over the next couple of years maybe, they've had a lot of time. Since Field Day Park was approved, the people, just in that footprint, just in the Lake Wylie footprint, that are funding Field Day Park, which we voted to do, so we're really happy about that, and we're happy that we can provide that for our community and for the rest of York County, and gosh, people travel from all over to Field Day Park. But we've put in, since that time, approximately $2 million. That's a lot. Every year, I'm gonna give you a couple numbers. We also are fortunate to have, it's kind of bittersweet, but we have a nuclear power plant in the district, which also provides a chunk of the money for recreation throughout the county. But the people of Lake Wylie put in $504,000 last year. That's what that was the tax that was collected from just the people in Lake Wylie. Under normal circumstances, if we were a municipality, we would get some of that money back. Actually, let me change that. If we were a municipality, we wouldn't be putting anything in. And we would be getting a piece of that pie. So I feel like, and I'm going to show you that pie, I feel like that we have provided a lot of the ingredients for the pie, and the Rec Coalition is not really interested in allowing us a bite of the pie. And it is also concerning that we now have a person, former councilman, who was on this council when this was passed, who has now joined that Rec Coalition representing the Field Day Park area. And I would be willing to bet, not much, but I would be willing to bet a little, that he has maybe not been included in some correspondence going back and forth between the other members of that Rec Coalition over the last month or so. That's very concerning. And when they vote to do or to not do, that's a 7-1, I think it's 7, is it 7 of them? That's a 7-1 vote. That's concerning. So let me show you the pie. I asked Karen to just, so this first picture, I'm gonna have to look at it on my screen, so I'm gonna talk with it over my shoulder. So we'll go to the first, this is the fiscal year 22 recreation taxes that have been raised, and you can see that Clover School District, unincorporated area, is, and this is all of Clover School District, not just the Lake Wylie side, is 36%. Is the highest of all the collection. Okay, so that's what we raised, and then this next slide, I want you to look at this. Red is always Lake Wylie, and notice there is no red on this one because we didn't get anything, and for 14 years we haven't gotten anything. But the most important years are these past 5, and we're going into year 6, where we're still not getting anything. So I believe this has run its course. When we go to them and to the Rec Coalition, and we say, we'd like for you to level the playing field. We would like for you to make us whole, because we're putting money in and not getting anything out. Last year we were allowed the growth, which means the amount that was over and above what was collected the year before, we got that. It was $136,000. If you go to the next slide, you'll see this is, what is this slide? This shows what we would be getting today. So 10%. So if you look at these maps, you just see that it's just not an equitable tax. I think most of the people in the unincorporated areas of York County are not aware they're even paying the tax. So it's concerning. And I'm speaking mostly on behalf of the taxpayers on the Lake Wylie side of my district. But across the county, I think it's a tax that has absolutely run its course. And so I'm sure that when we have our workshop, this will come up. This is on our agenda for the next workshop, and I'm sure that some of that Rec Coalition membership will be here for that. And I'm interested in hearing from them how they believe that this is fair. And I believe in things being fair and equitable. When you talk about sports and keeping things fair on a field, whether you're playing football or golf or soccer or whatever it is, I'm interested in hearing from them why they think this is possibly fair. And I'm open-minded, but I'm pretty determined at this moment that this should end. There should be a sunset on this at the end of this year. Thank you.
Just to wrap this up, some misconceptions. This particular ordinance revision does not cut any funding for this upcoming year. Each municipality will be kept whole, and this sunset, if approved by council as we move forward, would give plenty of time in order to deal with planning moving forward. Again, this is title only. We do have a workshop next week. We have a public hearing, and there are a lot of things that I think will be aired out in those meetings. One thing I will say is this council has been very supportive of recreation. As long as it's done in a fair and responsible way, doesn't burden the taxpayers, and you can show accountability, I've been very proud of our council for doing that. This particular ordinance has problems with it and needs to be fixed. All those in favor of the first reading, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes 3-1. Council to consider approving the execution of an engineering design contract with DeVita and Associates of Charlotte, North Carolina for $33,600 for design of the HVAC replacement and upgrades at the York County Planning Facility as part of the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds Program.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We do not have any committee reports. Any council member new non-agenda comments?
I just want to remind everybody on behalf of our Fort Mill council members that the Strawberry Festival starts this weekend, and that's always a big fun thing that we do, South Carolina Strawberry Festival. And so check that out online. Their Facebook page is at South Carolina Strawberry Festival.
Anyone else?
You know this.
I'm gonna.
I'll just real quick. I know I had asked staff to get back with me on the use of coronavirus funds, coronavirus relief funds for the fire department, as well as I think I spoke with Kevin since the last meeting on some more uses of that fund. So I'm still, I know Trish has been working real close with those monies. Just curious to know if you guys have made a final decision about the fire departments being able to be used with those funds.
I'll take that if you don't mind. Trish can chime in if I get something wrong. But generally speaking, the coronavirus money came. We received an amount above the threshold to where we are required to follow certain guidelines, and they have to be qualified for those expenses. And a lot of communities got money without any real strings to it, or very minimal strings to what they could spend it on. We have a lot more, I guess, we need to meet a lot more standards in order to spend this money. However, a portion of the money we got was somewhat unrestricted, and that portion, like the portion other counties receive, could be used for such an expense. Being that that's a small amount of what we're getting, county management does not recommend that we use it for those expenses. But to answer your question specifically, there is a portion of the money that could be spent on that if council chose to.
Okay. We'll get back to that conversation on that part. I want to take this next minute to kind of touch on a real touchy issue that we've been experiencing here in Rock Hill over the last week with the triple homicide. I know I've gotten plenty of phone calls from concerned citizens about youth programs and things. How can we reach more youth to get to them? We all know the dynamics of the case from whether it was, I think, a 16 and 17-year-old. I think the oldest one was maybe 17 involved. We really have some challenges, and it's not just here in Rock Hill and York County. It's across the country that many communities are experiencing incidents like these. I don't know if it's to the magnitude, but what our teenagers are getting involved with, the things that's attracting them outside of our schools, outside of the family homes. We really have to come together as a community, and we're just asking that each and every one of you to continue to pray for our teenagers, pray for our youth, keep those families who were involved in that tragic incident on last week in your prayers. We're going to get through this just as we've gotten through other other incidents, but it really hits home when you have a 15, 16-year-old living in your home and knowing whether it's peer pressure, whether it's, things that's attracting them outside of listening to what the parents are telling them. And I probably can attest to, I'm sure every one of those kids' parents had talked to them about doing the right thing. But we know that when kids get with other kids, things change, decisions are made differently. The process changes. So continue to keep those families in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this difficult time. And hopefully this will be the last one. We know it won't be, but we want to make sure that we're doing all we can as a community. We're doing all we can as a family. But our different municipalities certainly, I'm sure they're concerned with it as well. I haven't spoken with, I actually spoke to the chief of police a couple of days after it happened, and they were still piecing together, what we were dealing with, whether it was gang related or just isolated incident. But we do have some issues throughout York County with gangs, and I'm not saying this was gang related, but we do want to be mindful that there's some bad things going on in every community across this country. But we just still need to be vigilant, from community leaders, from parents to job owners and community leaders. But we haven't given up on our youth, and we're going to still continue to fight for them each and every day. We just had a group of teachers here. We have some wonderful, excellent teachers. And I told the media when I was interviewing I did an interview about this incident. This is not a Rock Hill police issue. This is not a Rock Hill school district issue. To me, and I feel confident saying it, we got to get back to community. We got to get back to parenting and continue to instill in our young men and women the importance of respecting other people's property and the importance of respecting life itself, because once you pull that trigger to take a life, you can't put that bullet back in there, and it hurts even families who don't know these victims. It hurts families who don't even know the person that perpetrated this in our community. So keep that in mind as you're going about your daily lives, and if you see a young man or young lady out somewhere, continue to encourage them to do the right thing and be respectful as they go about the day. Thank you.
Anyone else? We don't have any citizen concerns. Do we have a motion for executive session?
Yes, we make a motion to go into executive session for a contractual matter involving Duke Energy's targeted underground program, receipt of legal advice on contractual matter with municipal inmate agreement involving TK, receipt of legal advice on a pending litigation update, and one more that was added in, proposed contractual matter involving Project Zanzibar.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will move into executive session in 5 minutes. action was taken. Do we have any motions?
Yes, move to authorize execution of an easement agreement with Duke Energy as discussed in executive session on parcel 070-180-1007.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with TKK for municipal inmates, and to allow legal counsel to take measures as discussed in executive session.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I would like, would it be appropriate for staff to explain to those who are watching online or reporters watching what we're doing here? What's this about? And why we're doing this?
Agreement.
Yes.
Would it be more appropriate for Michael to chime in on that? I mean, I don't mind trying to summarize it.
This is an agreement specifying the per diem costs for municipal inmates that are housed with York County for municipal violations. And it's an intergovernmental agreement specifying the relationship between the city of TKK, York County, and the York County Sheriff with regards to those inmates.
Well, I guess what I was looking for here in that explanation was that TKK had signed was going to sign the agreement as well as pay the arrears and be dropped from the lawsuit. Is that an accurate statement?
Those are accurate statements, yes, sir.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
All right, one more. Authorize execution of a letter of intent and draft purchase agreement with conditions and amendments as discussed in executive session for Project Zanzibar.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.